Auto Sports Camelot on the North Texas Plains. Texas Motor Speedway. After 2 years of getting ready, it's NASCAR's turn to show up for the big show. Jeff King, the first ever Busch Grand National pole qualifier at Texas Motor Speedway. Earlier today, we watched him on the track as he took the pole in the only qualifying action that actually got to take place here, as we watch closely at Texas Motor Speedway for more speed to come. The racing faithful are watching the gray skies, which appeared 2.5 weeks ago here as the countdown to the Texas 500 looks over the action that isn't so far at Texas Motor Speedway. Winston Cup and Busch Series drivers showed up here a few weeks ago to test. They found almost the same conditions, but overcame it, got some great times in here at Texas Motor Speedway, and are now prepared to do battle at Texas Motor Speedway as Jimmy Spencer, as you see here on your screen, the 23 Camel-driven car, wants to get some action and find a win. Bobby Hillen out of Midland, Odessa, Texas, also trying to do the same thing. He needs a win in the Jasper Motorsports Federal Mogul number 77 car. Mark Martin, the Valvoline 6-car driver, of course, from Batesville, Arkansas, has done the Goodyear tire testing and wants his car to be first. Ernie Irvin climbing into the Texaco Haviland number 28 car for Robert Yates continues his remarkable comeback after 2.5 years ago, smashing into the wall at incredible speeds at Michigan, almost to the point of death. He has returned to become one of the best race car drivers again in NASCAR Winston Cup racing. Certainly one to watch. The 1995 Series champion, Jeff Gordon, Winston Cup winner at a very young age and a winner of so many other things, including this year's Daytona 500. Bobby Labonte in the number 18 Pontiac wants to win, of course, the Interstate Batteries 500 and take home the money that the company puts up for this race. Ted Musgrave also looking for a win, fighting in the Roush Racing Team, the number 16 Prime Star car, looking for a first win this season, along with Bill Elliott. The number 10 McDonald's car, correction, the number 94 car with Bill as of course trying to get himself to the winner's circle, has done well so far, at least in practice. And Rusty Wallace in the Miller Lite number 2 car, very intense with the fastest lap time ever so far here at Texas. Winston Cup standings right now tell the tale. Dale Jarrett in the Quality Care number 88 Ford leads the pack. He's ridden on every lap, 1,614 laps so far in the season, and has 2 wins to his credit of the 5 races so far this year. Following him, it's Jeff Gordon, of course, driving in the second place situation. And, of course, he is the lead so far in this particular race, with teammate Terry Labonte from Texas in third in points, trying to repeat as champion from 1996. Brother Bobby Labonte sits behind him in fourth. 2 brothers, of course, sitting in the top 5 right now, just ahead of Jeff Burton. Mark Martin's in 6th. Jeff Bodine in the QVC 7 car rides in 7th in points. Ricky Rudd in the number 10 Tide car is 8th. Rusty Wallace in 9th. And Ernie Irvin sits in 10th as we watch this race begin, the 6th race of the 1997 season. Hello, race fans. This is Trace Alley at Texas Motor Speedway. And, of course, you can tell it's pretty obvious. We're not racing just now. We've got a little bit of rain slowing things down. NASCAR officials have called off the Winston Cup qualifying for today, at least, and they'll be back tomorrow. Predictions of rain withstanding, all the drivers have learned a lot here at the racetrack. A lot of talk about different things that confront them, and of course they want to be the first in the winner's circle, but all of them have nervous anticipation built up by the score right now, trying to figure out a new racetrack, new to NASCAR, new to all the drivers, and of course new for race fans. Texas race fans are ready for the action, and we'll bring you more of it here as the countdown to the Texas 500 continues in a moment. Live from Texas Motor Speedway, 20 miles north of Fort Worth. Of course, the rain has dampened the spirits, but certainly not the intents of the NASCAR Winston Cup Series or the Busch Grand National Series. Jeff Green, of course, is the qualifier for the Busch Series, will be on the pole for the Saturday race. But right now, let's take a look at what the drivers think of the situation. Texas Motor Speedway is ready for its opening race weekend. So far, the majority of NASCAR teams have dealt with the newness of the track by adjusting lap by lap to a super speedway that looks like Charlotte Motor Speedway, but certainly isn't. Dale Jarrett, 1993 and 1996 Daytona 500 winner and a member of NASCAR's second family generation of winners, has a lot to say about each part of the speedway.
If you're not careful, you can run off into the apron going into turn one because the lines don't come back far enough. And I think once they get all the lines down and a little more familiar with the place, it'll be much better. But I think it's going to make for great racing.
Turn 3 and 4, any comments on there on what you found so far?
You know, it seems to be an easy transition into the corner. Obviously, right now it's a one-groove racetrack until we are able to get some more rubber down. But it seems to be pretty tight getting off of turn 4. That's going to be a concern. That it seems that area there in the tri-oval maybe are a little smaller area than what we're accustomed to with the tri-oval, and it could be tight racing 2x2.
Midland Odessa driver Bobby Hillen ran one of the fastest laps early in the test week by staying close to the preferred line.
Let me tell you, I wasn't going to test that second lane. You know, that bottom lane was working good, and I was going to stay right there in it because, you know, this track is deceiving. It doesn't look like you can get in the corner very hard, but you really can. And it's a fast racetrack, and it's a racetrack of its own. It's got its own personality. It's not a clone of Charlotte Motor Speedway.
Jimmy Spencer has super speedway victories at Daytona and Talladega and feels that it's all about focusing your attention and running with what the track tells you to do.
I've always loved Daytona and Talladega, and I think it's an honor for me to get my first win at Daytona because I've been going there for over 20-some years now, watching from the grandstands, and I always consider myself a short track racer, so win on the super speedways was sort of mind-boggling. But we felt like, you know, we had an opportunity to win last year at Darlington, Rockingham, Pocono, and those were all like intermediate super speedway tracks. So, you know, we feel the same thing here going in this year, the same thing, and we hopefully they can afford to win before the year's over.
Other drivers, including Winston Cup champion Terry Labonte and brother Bobby, also found the track full of surprises. But this weekend, the biggest test of all comes out as 42 of the fastest in NASCAR come to grips with 180-mile-per-hour plus side-by-side racing. But right now, Texas Motor Speedway is still. But the good news is plenty of drivers have come to visit with us, and we're going to talk to them right here on Fox Sports Net. Stay with us. Coming up, a visit with Rusty Wallace, the fastest man at the track so far. The countdown to the Texas 500 continues here at Texas Motor Speedway. Of course, rain delayed the situation on qualifying today. We got the Busch qualifying done, but all the NASCAR Winston Cup guys are sitting here a little bit nervous and ready to go. They've got all that tension behind them, hopefully. And one of the guys that's just done a remarkable job so far at this racetrack in the Penske South Ford is Rusty Wallace. Rusty, you had the fastest lap time here, 185 miles plus. Did you find that same thing when you got back here this time?
Yeah, the car feels exactly the same. In fact, they took some rear spoiler off of us, and I was a little looser when I come back, so I had to change the right front spring rate a little bit to accommodate that. But it's still running good. We were the quickest when we left, but right now we're not the quickest. We're in the top 3 or 4, I think, of speed. I feel as though we get the car quick enough to sit on a pole, but there's a bunch of guys that think the same thing.
Everybody, of course, knows that you've got to plan and keep planning and keep changing things to get it right. So obviously that's what we're in the midst of right now, to get the Penske Ford right.
Well, it's two different deals out there right now. It's a brand new racetrack. Everybody's running right on the bottom of the racetrack. It's real abrasive. The cars are sticking good. We're running real fast. And what's important to us is to get the qualifying over so we could do what we call unblock these cars and get them ready for racing. And then we got to go out there and see where we can pass and when we can pass, and we can run 2 wide, 3 wide, whatever. And I think it's going to be real important to get the Grand National race underway so they can lay some rubber down on the racetrack and make a couple lanes for us out there. And I think Saturday night's practice can be real important.
The practice we've seen so far really revolves around the qualifying effort of all the cars, primarily the Busch cars, and of course you guys were out there earlier in the Winston Cup cars today. I did notice a single lane of entry through turn 4. Is that pretty much how it feels like it's going to stay, Rusty?
Well, I think you're noticing a single lane of entry and exit all the way around the racetrack right now. Everybody's right on the bottom, and nobody wants to venture up top, and there's really no reason to get up there. It's slower up there right now. The fastest way around the racetrack's right on the bottom. A lot of controversy about the track, but man, the way I look at it, if a guy's got enough, you-know-what to stick his you-know-what's on the line and spend this much money.
We call it cojones.
Yeah, cojones, right. if he wants to spend that much cash and put a $3.8 million purse up and close to 350 grand to win, man, I'll run this thing around backwards if they want me to. But it's a great track. I'm excited about Texas. I'm glad we're able to bring the sport to Texas and show these race fans what we're all about.
And Rusty, we're extremely proud to have you here. We're glad that Miller brought you here. And, of course, Miller, a big part of everything going on this weekend. We're going to take a look, though. Let's go down and talk to Gary Godley. We have a chance to talk to him a little bit about some of the things going on in the pits right now as we join Gary Godley in the garage area.
And Trace, just like you say, the rain has put an end to some of the practice and qualifying today. It came around about 2:45 here right after the Busch did do their qualifying, which the pole position was won by the number 8 car of Jeff Green. This morning we had a lot of Busch qualifying or practicing going on first. They were the first guys out. We did have a couple incidents this morning. Randy LaJoie kind of broke in turn 1 and turn 2. And then later on we had Ricky Craven in the Budweiser number 25 car come out of turn 4 and really take a good hard hit, and we understand that possibly they may have airlifted him out of here with a possible broken collarbone. So right now, like you say, Trace, the skies opened up a little bit, but hopefully tomorrow we're going to have some good racing. And I don't know, Trace, it's going to be a good weekend.
It'll be a good weekend eventually, Gary. Of course, the rain will go away, and we'll talk with some more drivers about what they think of Texas Motor Speedway, this unique facility in a unique state. Gray skies have slowed us down here at Texas Motor Speedway, but it hasn't stopped the talk and the conversation everywhere about what this race means to Texas, as the Interstate Batteries 500 will occur, of course, on Sunday following the Coca-Cola 300. Right now, one of the most interested players perhaps in this whole thing and how the weather's going to take us to another direction is Jeff Bodine, driver, of course, of the QVC number 7 Ford. Jeff, besides being wet, how are you, and welcome to Texas?
Well, I'm glad to be here, that's for sure. And I mean, what a great racetrack in the big state of Texas. I guess Texas deserves the biggest and the best. They've got it right here.
Well, tell us a little bit about your experience so far on the racetrack, Jeff. What have you found there for the Ford to run on?
I didn't come here and test, so I was a little behind when I unloaded the car and first time out, but we caught up pretty quick. By the end of the last session, right before we were going to qualify, QVC Ford was running really good. We were real competitive. Ended up like 20th in the times, but did you look at the times? I mean, from first to 20th is only like 0.2 of a second.
Exactly. We're covered by less than a second in almost all of the NASCAR Winston Cup events, and of course this being no exception. In fact, at this point, seems to be even tighter than ever, which kind of matches, I guess, the complexion of the racetrack, as it were.
Well, I think it's amazing, though. You come to a new racetrack, you know, a few guys did test, but most of us didn't. And for the cars and the drivers to be that close in such a short practice time is amazing. I guess it shows how good the NASCAR Winston Cup people are.
Well, I was surprised that you hadn't been here for practice, Jeff. I know you have a lot of things. You're a single car owner. You own your entire team, so obviously that eats up a lot of time and makes it difficult for you to do a lot of other things. For QVC, though, you've done a great job of exposing who they are, just as we notice right now.
Well, we'll be on tonight, 8 o'clock, so tune in. You're going to be there, right? You do some shopping. I know you have a Q number.
Yes, I've
looked that up.
My wife does, I'm sure.
Okay, well, good. Well, you own part of my race team, so all the shoppers really can feel a part of my race team. They own part of it.
Okay, well, Jeff, listen, we're going to have to run on down the track here. We found ourselves getting ready for some more action here in just a minute, and we're getting ready to look here. We're looking right now at turn 1. Of course, the turn, they say, is so flat that there's no bank till you get in it. But, of course, it's ready right now for all the NASCAR Winston Cup guys, and they'll be coming to Texas to race even faster tomorrow as we heat up and intensify and get ready to go. Jeff, talk a little bit about what we're looking at here. Tell us about coming out of turn 2 and what that really feels like.
Yeah, you're right. Going into turn 1, it feels flat. It is pretty flat going in, but once you get in the corner, you can go wide open and through the throttle all the way through turn 2, and I guess you take a deep breath and a prayer that you don't end up hitting that Texas sign on the wall.
Don't
there.
get into the condos there.
Well, we saw some cars hit the wall today, and you know, Ricky Craven hit really hard off of turn 4, and that's the problem we're facing here. We can go so fast through the corner, carry so much speed through the corner, and like Rusty said, you have to run low right now. If you get up a little bit, you're going to bang the wall, and you're going to hit it hard.
But going into turn 3, we're looking at it right now, Jeff. Is that a little easier to handle? It seems to be one of the smoother points to get into.
It might look easier. I don't think it's easier. That you go down that long straightaway and you look down in that corner, it's like, hey, they forgot to bank the corner. Where's the banking? But again, you get into the corner, and then again, you can go wide open and just tear off this corner off turn 4. And like I say, another deep breath and a prayer to hope you don't hit the wall again. it really is a nervy track to go fast on, and I guess that's why it took me a little while to get going. There's some skid marks up in a wall by Fort Worth. Well, I didn't know Fort Worth was that close to the track.
It's very close, actually. We're looking at turn 4, and this is the track or the corner of the track that I've heard the most about, Jeff. More people talk about turn 4. They say it's a little tight in there, although it looks like today y'all have managed to find a good way through there a few times.
Well, like Rusty said again, the lowest way around is the fast way and the safest way. But, you know, you see all that apron down below that solid white stripe. It makes the track look really wide and like you have lots of room out there, but you can't race down below that solid white line. So the racing groove is pretty narrow right now, and hopefully, again, like Rusty said, after the race Saturday, that groove will move up and we'll have more operating room out there.
Jeff Bodine, of course, very experienced now on this racetrack. A distance of 1.5 miles. That's Texas Motor Speedway's distance. Banking a little up and down, 24 and 8 degrees, depending on which set of turns you're looking at. The front straightaway's 2,250 feet. Back straightaway, 1,330 feet. Looks a little longer, though, according to Jeff Bodine. But did you know that Texas Motor Speedway is the 3rd largest? I believe that's actually 2nd largest sports facility in the world at this point. We're going to break. We'll be back with more conversation with some of the drivers here at Texas Motor Speedway. Coming up, we meet with Dale Earnhardt. You're looking at 107,000 seats that awaits, of course, the Coca-Cola 300 on Saturday and the Interstate Batteries 500 on Sunday. The countdown to the Texas 500 at Texas Motor Speedway in Fort Worth. Of course, we're here right now getting ready to talk with many of the drivers. Right now, let's visit with Dale Earnhardt from an earlier interview.
Coming to Texas is, I think, going to be great for us, but it's a racetrack I seem to sort of fit right on. I run well there in tests, so I'm looking forward to coming there. It's going to be a little different racetrack. It's got its own little things, but still, the momentum, if we can build the momentum, we can come back and win that championship this year, and that's what we're after, that 8th championship.
Everybody has Dale Earnhardt stories, and there are plenty of them to tell. One of my favorites is one that happened recently at Daytona after the wreck when you found out there were 4 tires still up on your car. How did you find out? What actually got you back in that car? I know it was you that did it, but...
Well, I got out and I sort of looked around, and I was sort of rattled really from turning over, and I thought, well, you know, it's probably tore all the pieces on the right rear. Looked like it's tore pretty bad. So I got in the ambulance and I glanced back out, and the left side tires weren't flat. I said, well, let me go look at the right side. And I jumped back out, stopped the ambulance, and jumped back out. Looked at the right side tires. They were still up. I said, looked under the hood, and the steering and the belts and all were on. The radiator was intact. I said, told the guy in the car, crank it up. And he fired it up, and it fired up. I said, get out, let me in there. He was unhooking it and tying everything down on it. All the safety workers, they was hollering, NASCAR was hollering on the radio for them to drag it in, and they was all unhooked. They was paying no attention. They was unhooking it and letting me go. So.
When you went by us on pit road, you didn't even have your helmet on. All I saw was metal flapping like this.
I lost my gloves and my goggles somewhere in all that transaction there, but I got to the pits and they taped the trunk deck down and they worked on the car some, and if we put the spring back in the bucket on the right front of the car, we actually drove pretty good, but we were just fortunate. We finished the race. That's important to us, is finishing the races, but determination of staying out there and trying to get all the points you can.
Dale, there are millions of people that are in Texas and all around the Southwest that are so excited about all of you coming here. What's the reaction that you felt so far that maybe sets Texas apart a little bit from what you've seen at other racetracks in your career?
Well, the Fort Worth and Dallas area here is great, and you know the fans are just like anywhere else. They're great, and I'm looking forward to it. Bruton Smith has built a great facility like he always does. He puts everything into it, and he goes all out first class with everything he does. And I'm looking forward to racing down here, and the fans I know will turn out great, but the facility looks great. The racetrack's a little funny in places, but every place has got, the Darlington's got the you know, hard turns to get through, and you know, Daytona's even got a bump off for us. So all of them, Charlotte, everybody's got their own little thing about it. So Texas is no different. We're not going to give it a break. We're going to come down here and race. It's going to be a great race.
I've watched you practically all day on the racetrack. What's your basic feel for the racetrack?
Very comfortable. It's a little uncomfortable getting in one, and but coming off 4 where the track falls off, it's pretty comfortable if you get your car working there. So a lot of bite, a lot of grip, and but you know, it's a pretty nice facility.
I've already given you credit for the fact that I think you said the Goodyear tires are pretty hooked up to this racetrack.
Well, they are. Mark Martin did a great job tire testing down here, and they worked hard to get the right tire for the track. And I think it's, like I said, it's going to be a good, consistent race as far as tire wear goes and stuff like that. From what we've seen in the test, we're wearing the tires very good. So I'm looking forward to a good race.
Dale Earnhardt, of course, 7-time NASCAR Winston Cup champion, tied with the king, Richard Petty, and still going for that number 8. And, of course, the guy who's got a record on his hand is this guy right here next to me, Eddie Gossage. You probably recognize him. He's been co-host with Countdown to the Texas 500 for the last 11 weeks. And now, all that talking we did about it, Eddie, it's all over. Here we are sitting here, catching our breath. And how are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing great. Isn't it fun? You know, we actually opened the gates today and had a crowd here for a while and that kind of thing. And that's what we've been working for about 3 years.
I see this as a positive sign, only because when you do have rain, the good news is all the drivers want to show up and talk to you.
Yeah.
So you get to
good
visit.
for the show.
Yeah.
You're right.
Well, listen, talk about what's happened so far. Getting here from 2 years ago when you had the groundbreaking on April 11th, 1995, Eddie, it's got to be one heck of a sense of accomplishment right now.
Well, it is pretty amazing. You know, you look out this window and see what came out of the Texas prairie. Just 2 years, it's astonishing to me. You know, if it wasn't for guys like Bruton Smith who do things in the way they do them, he's a very stubborn guy. If it wasn't for guys like that, nothing would get done in this world. So, you know, I can't believe it myself when I look out this window and did you know it's raining? I did not know it was raining.
I had not noticed that.
So, yeah, I didn't know that, but no.
Well, I'll tell you what, Eddie, one of the things I've seen so far is the tremendous amount of planning and effort that's gone into making this work as well as it has. In fact, for a lot of people who know something about NASCAR and Winston Cup racing, have been to some of the other tracks that you help run, like Atlanta and Bristol and others, they know that it's over a period of time you build yourself up to a level where everything is just exactly the way everybody wants it. Right now, for a beginning race, for a brand new racing structure, this place is in incredible shape.
Yeah, we're really pleased. You know, if you go to a restaurant that just opened, the food's never as good and the service is never as good as you want. You go back a few months later and it's a whole lot better. And that will happen here. But today we got to open the gates for the first time. We found out the toilets do flush. We found out the ticket stubbers do tear tickets in half like they're supposed to, and all those kind of things. And, you know, that sounds silly and mundane, but you never know until you really do it. And we were building this place up until last night, and today we unlocked the gates and let the people in, and we found out it does work.
Well, that's for the fans, of course, for their comfort, and we want that to take place. But you have the greatest show in stock car racing in the world right here this weekend, and that's got to be just unbelievable to you at this point.
Yeah, how about this for a dress rehearsal? You know, the top former motorsports in the world, the top drivers right here in Fort Worth, Texas for the Interstate Batteries 500. It couldn't be any better. This is what we dream for. And you know, for the last 2.5, 3 years, some of us have done nothing but think and plan and work every second to get here, and we're here.
And, of course, here we're taking a look at the schedule for the Interstate Batteries Texas 500. Tomorrow, 1:30 p.m. will be the Busch Series qualifying. I'm sorry, that's the other qualifying. Yes. 2:30 p.m. will be the NASCAR Winston Cup qualifying. That's, of course, going to have to make up a whole day's worth, right?
I may need to look at the schedule and correct the schedule a little bit. I think it's 11 o'clock tomorrow.
Well, that may be because of the rain, but exactly.
A revised schedule, 11 o'clock tomorrow is Winston Cup qualifying.
Okay, so we will have Winston qualifying tomorrow at 11 o'clock here at Texas Motor Speedway. Of course, Mother Nature cooperating on that end of it. Eddie, it's good to have you here. We hope to keep you here for a few minutes. We've got some other drivers standing by in the background, and we'll try to talk some more to Eddie as he continues to calm down a little bit after all the excitement got underway today here at Texas Motor Speedway. We'll be back with more here on Fox Sports Net. Stay right here with us. Texas Motor Speedway awaits NASCAR Winston Cup Series qualifying. That's been rescheduled to Friday because of the weather. Of course, you can see on your screen the rain is here in North Texas, north of Fort Worth. As we sit here and try to get ready for more racing, the excitement, the nervous energy all around us is just absolutely eating a lot of us up. It's not eating up Derek Cope, though. That's the good news. Driver of the 36 Skills car, Derek, welcome to Texas. It's so good to have all you guys here. I can't tell you how excited all of us who are race fans are to have you with us.
Well, thank you. We're delighted to be here. This is a great facility, and we've long awaited. I think everybody's had a desire to be here, and now it's here, and I think we're ready to go racing.
We've talked a lot about the things about the track that trouble some of the drivers. Let's talk about some of the good things. What do you like about Texas Motor Speedway, Derek?
Well, I think the overall grip is fantastic in the racetrack. I think that there's a bit of security in that. Obviously, it's just a different racetrack. It's got some tendencies that maybe some of us aren't accustomed to, and the transitions in the banking are a bit gradual, so it's just something you have to deal with. And we were fortunate to come down and test with the Skittles Pontiac, and the car was fairly productive, and we found a combination we feel comfortable with.
So there's really no way to compare this. I mean, you can drive up to this particular racetrack and you look and you go, wow, looks like Charlotte almost. But when you get on the racetrack, obviously, it's not Charlotte.
No, I think when you're standing down the infield, you think it's Charlotte. but when you get on the racetrack, you know it's not. And I think that's good. I think that we want diversity in the racetracks we have to go out and showcase the sport in. So I'm delighted to be here, and I think that I know the Skittles folks are, and you know, with having a plant down in Waco, it's a market that we desperately wanted to be involved with, and we're glad to be here.
Great visibility, of course, with your colors and your sponsor and everything. In fact, probably one of the most instantly recognized sponsors that entered the sport. When did they come in with you all earlier?
Well, this is the first-year program for all of us. They were an associate sponsor on Jeff Gordon's car, and then they wanted to elevate their notoriety with the full sponsorship and put this brand new race team together. And you know, Ryan Pemberton's amassed a great group of guys, and been a great year for us so far. Just trying to, you know, kind of get up that learning curve a bit, but it's a lot of fun. And to do the promotional work for M&M Mars and Skittles, the brand, and a lot of fun. You're in every grocery store, and a lot of personal appearances, so it's exciting.
And of course, being recognized by all the kids in America now because they all love that candy so much. We had a chance to visit a little bit earlier on our show with one of the guys who absolutely makes a name for himself on his own. Of course, he comes from a very famous racing family. That last name is Petty. Gary Godley talks with Kyle Petty.
Okay, we're standing here with Kyle Petty, drivers of the Hot Wheel, number 44. Kyle, looks like rain has taken a venture here to Texas. What do you think about that?
I know. I tell you what, we came down here and tested, 2 or 3 weeks ago, and it rained for, I guess, the first day that we came down here to test. And we were kind of hoping that it would get it all out of the way because they had a lot of work to do down here, and they've done a tremendous job at the Speedway. But came back today, and hopefully it'll be gone by tomorrow to the next day anyhow.
Let's talk a little bit about practice this morning. We saw a couple of guys have a little bit of troubles here on the track. What about Kyle Petty? How do you feel your practice went this morning?
Really well. We were really pleased. We came back and basically started off at the same point that we left whenever we tested. And anytime you can do that, you feel pretty pleased about stuff because a lot of times you go home, take the car apart, and put it back together, and you're slower. This time we came back, at least we're the same speed, and the guys did a great job doing that. But you know, we came in this morning, we picked up about a half second in the morning practice and felt pretty good about qualifying. I think we were 17th overall in both practice sessions, so we were pretty consistent. But we felt like we had a shot to be in, you know, the top 5 or top 10, and we'll see tomorrow and see what comes up then.
Okay, we've had a lot of drivers say this track's like Atlanta, this track's like Charlotte. What's it like? I mean, is it unique in its own aspect?
Yeah, I'm going to have to say it's like Texas. That's about the way it is, you know. I think the track's taking a lot of criticism, you know, from different drivers just because we've tried to compare it to an Atlanta or to a Charlotte or to a Michigan. And I think you have to step back from it and quit comparing it to that. You know, I think the facility itself looks exactly like Charlotte. It's a phenomenal facility. But I think you have to step back and take an arm's length look at the Speedway itself and say, okay, it has little things that make it Texas Motor Speedway. And, you know, that's kind of the way it is. And, you know, when I look at it, to me, when I first came down here, I was the same way. I was like everybody else comparing it to other places. Now I look at it as Texas.
Well, we're also standing here in the Goodyear shop where the guys are just kind of standing around here with the rain. Now, we understand they brought 16 truckloads of these new tires. Have you guys had what kind of adjustment have you made with these new tires just for this track here at Texas Motor Speedway?
We haven't done anything. Like I said, we came down here and tested on a couple sets of them, and the tires have been great. You know, no inconsistencies, no anything. They've just been perfect for the whole time. If you take a set off and put another set on, your car comes back doing the same thing. And, you know, the Winston Cup circuit's been known to go through a few tires. These guys will tell you, they go through a lot of tires in the course of a weekend, and Goodyear's been a big supporter of this type of racing, and hopefully they'll continue to in the future.
Well, besides racing, what do you guys have lined up here for any evening activities? Get to see more of Texas, or what do you guys got lined up?
You know, I don't know what we're doing. To tell you the truth, I've got, we were going to try to get to a ball game, get to a Rangers game, and, you know, and then we, basically, we're doing a motorcycle tour the first of the week, and basically we're trying to unload motorcycles and trying to get them serviced and trying to get everybody back on their bikes and trying to get everything ready for Monday morning when we leave the Speedway here, so we're working motorbike stuff.
Well, the last time you were here in Texas, you talked to Fox Sports about you and Eddie Gossage, how you guys go back away, and you got any little stories here that you might want to tell us about Eddie?
I probably don't have any that I could tell on TV, to tell you the truth. I could tell you some late at night maybe, but you know, I tell you what, I've known Eddie and some of his crowd, Drainus and Inky, and some of those guys from Nashville for a number of years now. And Jane Gossage, Eddie's wife, was really looked after the Mellow Yellow account when I drove for Mellow Yellow for 4 or 5 years, and we get to be fairly close to that. Watch their kids grow up and stuff, and I don't want to say anything that would make their kids think they were a little wild there sometime. But, you know, Eddie and I have been riding motorcycles together, and we rode up north, and that was the first tour. That's really what started the charity ride stuff and all that, was Eddie and Michael Drainus and Robin Pemberton and myself riding up there. So You know, Eddie is just, he's one of those guys where he comes out here, and I think he's done a phenomenal job in pulling all this together and being sent out to Texas and away from racing for 2 or 3 years. You know, really wasn't that big a part of the sport because he was out here trying to get this thing organized. And, you know, then to build this place and to come back into it's been pretty cool.
Well, Kyle Petty, good luck to you on Sunday. Any predictions on the race Sunday?
Now, I'm going to predict better weather for Sunday. If they race on Sunday, I'm going to predict the weather's going to be better. But in Winston Cup racing, especially at a new track like Texas, who knows? All
righty, that's a word here with Kyle Petty waiting out the rain in here and at the Goodyear store.
And
back to you guys.
And we're all waiting out. Gary Godley, of course, also discussed some things with Ricky Rudd. Ricky's won at least one NASCAR Winston Cup victory for 14 years. He's working on number 15. We'll talk to him next on Fox Sports Net. Countdown to the Texas 500 is underway, at least live here from Texas Motor Speedway as we look at the Coca-Cola 300 sign there in the grass. And, of course, the qualifiers. At least we got the Busch race all set up for this weekend. Jeff Green, of course, the fast time today, 180.054 miles per hour to lead the Busch qualifier field. Elliott Sadler came in second. Hermie Sadler was third. Buckshot Jones came in fourth. Terry Labonte, of course, a NASCAR Winston Cup driver, driving his own sponsored car and took himself to fifth. We also had Steve Park in seventh. Elton Sawyer was seventh. Eighth was Phil Parsons. Bobby Labonte came in ninth. And Tim Fedewa came in 10th in the qualifying today that we did manage to get off on the qualifying day at Texas Motor Speedway. Right now, we're ready to go down to the pits and catch up with Gary and talk to Ricky Rudd.
We're down here with Bobby Labonte here, and again, rain has set in here. It seems like it rains when you guys come to town. And Bobby, tell me about your practice this morning. How'd you guys feel about it?
It wasn't bad. We tested down here 2 or 3 weeks ago and tested about the same speed with the Interstate Pontiac, and you know, of course, looking for a little bit more because there's some guys that are quicker. But you know, at the same time, we you know, we kind of stuck on the same speed, and maybe tomorrow's practice, if we do get to run, then maybe we'll find something there. We got an extra hour that we didn't anticipate having, so you know, we'll try a couple different things and see what we can do to improve.
And we've had some of the drivers say this track's like Atlanta, this track's like Charlotte. Kyle Petty said, no, it's just Texas. What's your opinion of this track?
Well, it's different. Ain't no doubt about it. I mean, there's not the comparison isn't like the Charlotte or Atlanta track. I mean, it's got some similarities, but it's got its own character too. So you know, it's something that you got to learn and something you got to figure out, and you know, try to figure out how far you can go before you got to, you know, get over the edge, but not get too far over the edge. So because everybody's doing the same thing, everybody's trying to go a little quicker. So you try to find that fine line, and that's what we're working on right now.
And being from Corpus Christi, I guess winning the race on Sunday might mean a lot more than just winning a regular race.
Well, I mean, it will in a lot of ways. I mean, winning a race is great in Winston Cup, and you know, we look forward to every weekend that we, you know, can go out and compete and try to race and run good. And this weekend here, you know, is no different than that, except for the fact that Interstate's sponsoring the race, which is sponsor. Okay, that's great. And then our home state. So I mean, we got a lot of stuff going for us this weekend. A lot of great things could happen if we do win. So we're looking forward to it. And when, you know, anytime you come to a new facility like this, you want to be the first one to win. So we're looking forward to a good race. Hopefully we can be the one, but we'll just see what we can do.
Some of our viewers aren't familiar about what happens to the track here once it rains. What kind of conditions can you guys expect tomorrow compared to what happened today?
Well, it kind of washes most of the rubber off the racetrack, so it'll be kind of green again like it was when we got here first thing this morning. So, you know, it's just, it won't take long to get back in condition like it was this afternoon. It just does wash some of the rubber off that was laid down with the Goodyear tires, which were in the Goodyear building. So that's the reason why. But anyway, it won't take long, and the speeds will be back where they were.
Okay, Bobby Labonte, the driver to Interstate Batteries car, and Trace, I think he'd like to win this race.
I'm sure Bobby Labonte would love to win this race, and of course keep some of that Interstate Batteries money and take it back to North Carolina with him. I want to apologize to Bobby. We threw to Ricky Rudd there for a second, and he was standing by live, so we're glad we got him. Bobby Labonte, of course, one of the most exciting young drivers in NASCAR Winston Cup racing, and driving a great race car right now, that Pontiac Grand Prix, the number 18 Joe Gibbs owned car, and of course doing great things in all of NASCAR Winston Cup as that team continues to come together with a brand new car. Now let's go back and see if we can visit with a guy. As we said earlier, he's won at least one Winston Cup race for over 14 years. He's in his 15th year of that attempt. Gary talks with Ricky Rudd.
Ricky Rudd, the driver of the number 10 Tide car, in here out of the rain with us here as it's kind of halt practice and qualifying here on Thursday here at Texas Motor Speedway. And Ricky Rudd, we saw this morning you had some great practice times out there. How about that?
Well, there's no doubt the Tide Ford, we've run very fast in practice. And as a matter of fact, we won practice, I guess, officially. It doesn't pay a whole lot for that. We were looking forward to the qualifying session. We'll just have to wait and do it again tomorrow.
And let me ask a couple of questions. You guys were down here a couple of weeks ago for some testing. How did that testing pay off for this practice session this morning?
Well, it went pretty good for us. I think it helped, at least it helped me as a driver learn this racetrack. It's different than anything we run. Compares a little bit to Charlotte Motor Speedway, but where it does compare, there's also quite a bit of differences also. So it was able to give the driver a good tune-up, if anything, and we didn't do a whole lot of chassis work as much as just got me comfortable in the car.
Yeah, we noticed in the pits 3 weeks ago there's a lot of chassis adjustments being made with springs and everything. You guys are also running on a unique tire compound. As you can see behind us, we've got all these Goodyear tires. How is that tire? Is that any different from what you guys are running on any other tracks?
Well, it's a different compound than I think we've raced all year. And the guys at Goodyear, all their tech staff, have done a great job. Mark Martin was the one that tested the tires here. They've got a tire that really works good on this racetrack, and I think that's one reason the speeds are up near 187 mile an hour average speeds here, is because the tires and the racetrack work very good to each other. They complement each other, and it's a tire that's you're not going to have to use a whole lot of them. Unlike some of the races we go to, this particular racetrack you could probably run all day on about 3 sets of tires.
Yeah, with rain coming in here, kind of ruining here this afternoon, we got qualifying again in the morning. You guys got any plans to see Texas tonight or the next couple of nights, see what it's all about?
No, matter of fact, I leave here, I'm going to go lay down in the motorhome. I've had a flu bug for a couple of weeks. I'm trying to shake, so I'm going to go back and get some rest, stay dry, and look forward to tomorrow.
Okay, Ricky Rudd, a little under the weather. He's going to go get some rest and maybe turn in that pole position coming up here for the race on Sunday.
Gary, we're looking for a lot of people to be on that pole, but of course it'll only be one guy, and we hope it'll be your favorite driver. Coming up, we talk with Norm Miller with Interstate Batteries. He's the man that's making a lot of this possible this weekend. We'll enjoy more in a moment. Texas Motor Speedway with some of the lights, and you can see the glistening on the racetrack on pit road right there. Of course, we've had some rain today that slowed things down for the qualifying of the NASCAR Winston Cup Series. But Miller Lite trivia, let's look. There will be 500,000 cans of beer consumed and 350,000 pounds of ice used this weekend. That's just one of the Miller Lite trivia items right now on the racetrack. Texas Motor Speedway, of course, is ready to go racing more than ever. And this particular gentleman that joins me today, this is Norm Miller, chairman of Interstate Batteries, and of course the sponsor of the Interstate Batteries 500. Norm, you've got yourself in a position here. We want to see, do you think the guys are going to get it together for the pole? It looks like they got a shot at that.
Well, we feel pretty good about it. The last time I talked to them, that we had a good shot at getting things tuned up just about right. We're a little off, and hopefully this delay will give us a little time to get everything right tomorrow. We'd love to sit the pole for this race, which of course you can understand.
I think it's a pretty obvious question I need to ask. Obviously, sponsor of the race, of course, the inaugural race here at Texas Motor Speedway, and also sponsor of the Joe Gibbs number 18 team. Obviously, racing must be doing some good for Interstate Batteries for you to get so deeply involved.
Yeah, we think it's for sure a place for us to be when you have you got a base constituency of people that love cars and the repair and automotive service business, which is where we make our living, and then also when you can reach the consumers at the same time. So our crowd has a double hit, if you will, for Interstate, so we're real pumped up about the fact that we can associate with all these race folks. It's a privilege for us to be here, I mean that.
And of course, working with people like Eddie Gossage and of course Bruton Smith, that's always a great way to get corporations involved with each other. But it's got to feel pretty good, Norm, that you can drive home tonight and sleep in your own bed right here at your own, right next to your own racetrack, so to speak.
That's interesting, and I really, it's going to be a great thrill to get to do that tonight, because I flew down to Austin this morning and came right back up to Alliance over here. And then Sunday morning, we're actually flying from Addison, Texas, over here to Alliance because of all the traffic.
Well, that's pretty neat, because another reason that's interesting is I noticed you said you just took a flight to get back here. You can't go to a race, apparently, without taking at least a flight somewhere, right, Norm?
It seems like that today, but we love it. I have to tell you, I enjoy it, and it's wonderful that it can be a business venture and at the same time fun. When you hit those two things, you really got something going.
Well, thank you, Norm, for doing everything you're doing for racing, and of course providing race fans with a great looking car and a great team, and helping be part of everything the NASCAR Winston Cup is bringing to Texas along with your help. Let's go back to Gary Godley in the pits. He's got another person down there to visit with us, and we'll talk to him right now.
Waiting out the garage area here with the rain, we've got Bill Elliott, driver of the number 94 McDonald's car. And Bill, give us a little idea of what it was like on the track during practice this morning.
Well, some fans asked me last night what I thought of the racetrack, and I said I haven't even seen it yet. And they said, you got to be kidding me. And I said, no, I've not. And you know, for some of the guys that's come and tested, I feel like they've got a little bit of advantage on us, because a lot of people said it's a lot like Charlotte, but it's quite a bit different. The way you enter the corner and stuff here is quite a bit different than what you have to put up with at Charlotte. And for me, it's been quite a bit of an adjustment. You know, I didn't run, you know, I'm a couple of tenths off of where I want to be right at the present moment, but you know, it's just going to take a little bit of time to keep adapting to the racetrack. You know, that's the thing. Once you get a race under your belt here, you're going to know what you need when you come back. So, you know, but everybody's kind of going through the same syndrome as far as what are we going to do? A, what are we going to expect for qualifying? Then what are we going to do as far as preparing for the race? I think probably watching the Busch race Saturday afternoon will help give an idea of what we need to do as far as what we're going to look for Sunday afternoon. But still, I mean, it's a great area around here. I've come to Texas for a number of years. A lot of good fans, especially NASCAR fans around this area, that really have followed and supported us for the last number of years. And I think that's a key note. You know, sure, the racetrack might need a little help here and there. Once we get out of here, we can best assess what we feel like will help the racetrack, and I'm sure they'll come back and make some more improvements and continue to improve as we go on in the future. But that's the things we got to look at. You know, as far as McDonald's, they've been great for me for the last number of years, and I'm just here to try to give it my best shot and hopefully come out here with the first win.
Well, we were talking to Tony, my 7-year-old girl. She's a fan because of McDonald's, and that's where she eats. And McDonald's has been a big part of your race team this year.
Oh, absolutely. McDonald's has been fantastic. They've supported us here for the last couple of years. And you know, last year was kind of an unfortunate situation from my standpoint when I broke my leg, and it was pretty tough to get through all that and get back where I need to be. But I feel 100% now, and I'm ready to go race.
Now, we've also got a new tire here for this track with a new compound. Are you guys experimenting around? You guys think you're pretty well set?
Well, we don't know. I mean, that's going to be more practice, and testing is going to tell us where we need to be and that. And once we get through qualifying, we can go out and make some longer runs and figure out what we need to do as far as race is concerned. You know, and get around other cars and kind of see what that feels like, because like I said, since no one's raced here and hadn't been around a lot and running a draft and all that stuff, it'll definitely be something that we'll have to kind of pay attention to and watch what we do and kind of see what this racetrack likes and dislikes.
You got any predictions for the race on Sunday, or besides hopefully sunny weather?
Well, I'm sure the fans are going to see a great race come Sunday afternoon. I mean, wherever we've been, it's great competition. You know, everybody's very competitive right now, and I just hope I get my Ford McDonald's Thunderbird victory lane.
So again, Bill and all of us kind of waiting out the rain here as practice and qualifying's come to an end here on Thursday. And hey, we got better things coming up and better weather for the weekend.
Bill Elliott was the 1985 $1 million man. And of course, this weekend we're racing for the 4th largest purse in NASCAR Winston Cup history. When we come back on Fox Net, we'll meet with Eddie Gossage and talk about it. We're reaching the end of our visit here at Texas Motor Speedway. The Interstate Batteries 500 logo awaits Sunday's action. And of course, Eddie Gossage, we've been in the middle of so many things. One of the things I wanted to point out, although we didn't get the qualifying done for everybody, Jeff Green's going to be real happy. He's getting the inaugural Busch Series pole winner jacket. Jay Lombardo and his staff from Lombardo's Clothing here in Dallas put these together. Truly unique jackets. Look at these.
Beautiful, and I tell you what, it's leather, but it feels like silk. Jay and all the folks at Lombardo's do a great job in Dallas.
So in addition to these, of course, they might have a chance of winning a lot of money. Let's talk about the purse real quick. What's the purse this weekend?
Well, you can buy a whole lot of clothes at Lombardo's with about $4.8 million. You know, we're going to take care of these guys this weekend and reward them in grand style, because we're happy they're here in the Lone Star State at Texas Motor Speedway.
Incredible race, incredible amount of money, and of course it's the awesome competition of NASCAR and what it's become today, the biggest show there is. Let's run back down to Gary Godley for a final comment about what's going down there in just a second. First, let's look at the schedule. Tomorrow, Eddie, Winston Cup qualifying will lead the day at 11 a.m. At 2 p.m. we'll, of course, have more of the Busch Series qualifying for the second half. The second half of the NASCAR Winston Cup qualifying takes place. Then Saturday, let's go racing. Inaugural Coca-Cola 300, and then Sunday, of course, the Interstate Batteries 500 right here at Texas Motor Speedway.
It's going to be a lot of fun. I never thought it would happen, or at least at times it didn't seem like it would, and here we are. It's race week, and that's the schedule, and we're ready to go racing.
This man looks amazingly calm for what he's been through, and believe me, I know about what's going on behind the scenes for Eddie Gossage. Let's go back to Gary Godley and have a final comment from inside the racetrack as he stands there in the rain and looks at us.
And Trace, again, it's still raining, but again, the garage area very quiet compared to what it was this morning, and it's going to be a lot louder come this weekend.
Thank you, Gary. Thanks for all your good work out there, and a great conversation. I wish I'd been the guy to join you there for some of those interviews. Got to talk to a lot of great drivers, all the incredible competitors. There he is, the number 8 car, the first ever Busch Pole winner here from Texas Motor Speedway. And, of course, that's Jeff Green. We're getting away right now. Countdown to the Texas 500. Wishes to thank everybody from Fox Sports and all the folks who have been part of it this season. Come see the races.